So, hi everyone, and welcome to this workshop on how to make over your metabolism. I am thrilled you're here. And first, I'd like to thank you for taking this time. You know, these days, time is precious in our busy world. And secondly, being open to learning and discovering more about how you can become a healthier version of you. You know, we all deserve to look and feel and be amazing. It's kind of my little tagline that I use. So I look forward to sharing with you some tools and steps that you can take to make over your metabolism for more energy, and maybe even shift some of those stubborn kilos that have been hanging around. And I imagine they're uninvited, but they're hanging around anyway. So moving along, let's talk a little about me. I'm Caroline Silk, lovely to meet you, and introduce myself so you know exactly who I am, what I do, and why I'm hosting this webinar. I am your mindset nutritionist. I'm the proud owner of my company called The Balanced Approach, and my past life was in marketing and advertising, and I did that right through after I left uni and then when I had the kids, but it really wasn't conducive to a work-life balance, particularly when you have 3 small boys. So in 2004, I went back to university and I did a postgrad certificate in nutrition, which took me 3 years to finish. And then I started working initially with overweight kids, teenagers and their families, which was great. But then I moved slowly into working with women of a similar age to me. I mean, anywhere from 35, 45 plus. And I found that even though you know, they're smart, intellectual, busy, capable women, and they knew what they should be doing in terms of dropping the kilos and the weight, but they knew something was wrong. And I did too. Like, I can tell you what to eat, I can tell you how to move your body, but unless I can get your head in the right place, then eventually that motivation to see me in the first place falls off sooner rather than later. So I started doing a deep dive into finding, to me, which was the missing piece of the puzzle, and that was all about mindset. So in 2010, I found a course which I became certified in. It's based on neuro-linguistic programming, positive psychology, and also change behaviour techniques. And I've been using that for the last 6 years very successfully, and I love what I do. Something you didn't know about me, let me think. I'm a Francophile. I love all things French, and I have my French lesson this afternoon. And my mission is to educate and empower you. I am a big believer there is so much misinformation out there in the marketplace, particularly in regards to weight loss, and not so much wellness, but certainly weight loss. And you can become overwhelmed and confused. And my mission is to educate you and empower you so that you have that platform of knowledge that then allows you to make the healthy choices. And then it becomes your choice. You can choose to make the healthy choice or choose otherwise, but it's your choice, and you're doing that with the knowledge of a, you know, sound, up-to-date nutritional knowledge. So this workshop was created, as I know, with my clients, and many of us have resorted to dieting in some shape or form more than once. And a lot of us have been on a food merry-go-round for a long time, and in some cases years. And living like this can eventually play havoc with your metabolism. So today I want you to help learn more about your metabolism, what it is, how it works, and how we can make it work for you. And I'm sure this photo doesn't reflect you, but I just think it reflects that sort of total food overwhelm. So during the next 45 minutes or so, this is what we're going to do. And so just to take the time, firstly, thank you for being here. Thank you for taking that time and being open to learning about new things. Turn off your mobiles, put away any distractions, and just take some time out for you to share this webinar with me. So what is metabolism? And why do we need to know about it? Metabolism refers to all the chemical processes going on continuously inside your body, literally as I speak, that allow for life and normal functioning. And the 2 main processes that are relevant here today is metabolism breaks down nutrients from our food, and also the process that it then takes those nutrients to build and repair our body. So the building and repairing of our body requires energy, and that ultimately comes from the food that you eat. The amount of energy, and you know that to be measured in kilojoules, or you might refer to it as calories, that your body burns at any given time is therefore affected by your metabolism. So if we eat and drink more kilojoules, that's good, kilojoules than we need for our metabolism, and the exercise that we're doing and the way that we're moving our body, guess what? We're going to store it as fat. So most of the energy that you expend each day is used to keep all these systems in your body functioning properly. So that's probably the number one role of metabolism, and its energy use. The next use of the energy is used during any physical activity that you partake in over the course of the day. And the final use of that energy is used to digest your food. So let's talk about how our metabolism affects your body. Your metabolism helps to regulate blood sugar levels, which you'll know by the end of this presentation why that's so important if you haven't heard about it already from me. As I said, it produces the energy your body needs to optimally function. It decreases weight gain. So if your metabolism is in balance, then there's no reason for you not to be having increased weight. And also assists organs with cleaning out toxins. So the benefits of balanced metabolism are a healthy gut. Now, we now know that the gut plays an enormous role in our overall health and our well-being. And the gut is actually touted as the second brain. So for your gut to be in a state of disrepair can play havoc on your overall health and well-being. Another benefit, obviously, is weight reduction. As I said, if your metabolism is in balance, there is no reason for you to be carrying excess weight. And also, it gives you better weight management. So you're not going to have those fluctuations of kilos going up and down. Your cravings will decrease. So we like that. So for that late night snack that you'll be after won't be there. It will balance out your energy levels and your blood sugar levels. Because balanced blood sugar levels, as I mentioned in the earlier slide, is one of the big things that I tout, in that you need to keep your blood sugar levels in balance so they're not fluctuating up and down, because when they are in balance, then your fat stores are used as your energy source. If they're not in balance, your fat stores are in shutdown. And obviously better sleep, skin and mood, and who wouldn't like healthy looking skin? I certainly know I would. So therefore, what are the symptoms of a poor metabolism? You know, sometimes you don't even know that your metabolism is actually broken. And how are you going to know if it is in a poor state and it's crying out for help? You know, one of the things I love about our bodies is it's always talking to you, often in more ways than one. But in this case of a metabolism that's broken or in disrepair, it's going to be sending you warning signals. So you need to listen. So things like pale skin tone, brittle nails, fatigue, not just that afternoon slump, but more of a constant fatigue. Low libido, so that whole, yep, I'm not having sex tonight, and you don't feel it like tonight, tomorrow night, or the night after. Cellulite on the front of your thighs, well, that's an interesting one, but it grows in pockets on the front of your thighs rather than anywhere else. Sugar cravings, so that constant sugar craving hit that you feel that you need to fulfill. Hair loss is always a good telltale sign. And that whole weight imbalance. Now, obviously, they are the warning signals, and that's not a great state if you're suffering from any of these. So if you feel that you can put a tick next to any of these, then you're here at the right time in the right place. Women and their metabolism. Now, alas, no men have signed up to today's webinar, so they can't disagree with me. But as women, we're actually at a disadvantage when we compare ourselves to our male counterparts. You know, whether we like it or not, when it comes to dropping the kilos and the pounds, we do so more slowly than men. And these are some of the reasons why. Firstly, hormones. Women have less testosterone. And the thing is about testosterone is it boosts metabolism and keeps guys lean, predominantly, not all guys, but it is working for them. And men are usually larger. They have more muscle mass and lean body tissue. So just even sitting at their desk or sitting on the couch, they are going to be burning more fat than us at any given time. Food preference. Now, obviously this isn't, set in concrete, but generally men like meat more and women tend to go the carb route. As I said, it's not set in concrete, and I will just say here and now, my husband is an exception to the rule. If he can't be seen with a baguette on his arm and a bag of potatoes, then he's not a happy man. But he's also very much a meat eater. Stress. Well, we women, we all know about stress. And the thing is, compared to men, our response to stress is more likely to be an emotional one. And that often leads to, unfortunately, emotional eating. And that leads to overeating, and that will lead to weight gain. So that is something which we tend to do differently than our male counterparts. Something like women are from Mars and men are from Venus. Cooking. Now, again, although this is changing and, more men are in the kitchen, women are more likely to be responsible for the cooking in the house, which equates to more work, guess what, more nibbling, perhaps a little bit of taste testing and scraping of the bowl. So again, that's not working for us. And finally, dieting. Sadly, approximately 80% of women are dissatisfied with their bodies and beat themselves up over it. And I remember reading a research paper where girls young as 9 had dissatisfaction with their bodies, which is a really sad telltale of what's going on. I've actually had clients tell me that they hate their bodies, but this doesn't need to be the case. And dieting, my friends, is not the solution to your problem. It's all about bringing your metabolism back into balance so that you can look and feel healthy, happy, and amazing. So what we're going to do today is dive into those factors which are really disrupting your metabolism. And it may be that some are or all of them are. Like if you look at this slide and you go, I'm doing a lot of all of that, then it's highly likely that your metabolism is very disrupted. So hormones, that whole hormonal chaos, sugar, we'll do a deep dive into caffeine and alcohol, dieting with deprivation and restriction, and then lifestyle factors such as sleep and exercise and stress, and obviously consuming of the wrong foods, which is processed foods. So let's dive in. So metabolism and your hormones. The thing is, the health of your metabolism is dependent on the correct functioning of 7 hormones. I've decided to call them the Magnificent 7 rather than the 7 dwarfs. Mind you, if they're in a state of disrepair, they're more likely to be dwarfs than magnificent. What we now know is that hormones dictate what your body does with food. So in women, metabolic imbalance and weight gain is often the direct result of hormonal upset, and these are the culprits: estrogen, insulin, leptin, cortisol, thyroid, testosterone, and your growth hormones. And as I mentioned, women are at a disadvantage when it comes to fat storage, and we are so sensitive to stress and inflammation, and that can make our hormones go haywire. The thing is, what you need to know is that your hormones play a huge role in all aspects of fat loss, from where and how much you store, to your cravings, to your appetite levels, and to the state of your gut health. So I'm going to be touching on various hormones throughout this presentation, but to dive deeper into the relationship, really to go through all these 7 hormones in detail and give you the information that you need, I'm actually going to do another webinar. It's a huge topic on its own, And I've decided to put together a 4-week online hormonal reset program, which I'm going to run later this year, because as I was doing the work on this webinar, I just realized there is just so much to tell you, and I don't want you to experience overwhelm. And so today we are literally, as I said, running through these ones, and it gives you an umbrella overview. So the takeout for today is to understand that your hormones play an extremely important role in your weight management and the health of your metabolism. I just remembered that I didn't mention about questions. If you have a question, please don't hesitate to ask it in the box on your right. And I'm not going to answer them throughout the presentation, because I think that's when the technical gremlin's going to take over, but I will come to the end of this presentation and go back to the main dashboard, and that's where we can have that conversation. So let's look at sugar. You know, many of you have heard me speak about sugar in both my blogs and my newsletters, and the thing is, it's no longer the simple sweetener that was added to the occasional cup of tea or added to a baking recipe that it was in the past, say, 100 years, or even, you know, 50, 60 years ago. Think about how your grandparents or your grandmother cooked. You know, our daily consumption then was no more than 4 to 5 teaspoons a day. Guess what? Today, in 2016, in Australia, it is up to 28 teaspoons per day. That is just a huge statistic. So for those of you that may have seen the Sugar movie, if you remember, what he did was he showed this visual where he removed every supermarket product off the shelf that had added sugar in it. And what was left was a very empty supermarket with only 20% of products left on the shelves. So you can see how insidious sugar has become in food manufacturing. And again, it's a whole nother discussion of why food manufacturers filled it with sugar, but what they essentially did was when they went low fat, they had to take the fat out. And guess what? When you take the fat out of foods, it doesn't taste particularly great, so they had to make it taste great again, so they filled it up with sugar. Hence the state of where we are today. Sugar is at high levels, is a toxin, and what it does, it disrupts natural energy levels and it spikes your blood sugar, and as you know, that is a no-no for weight loss. And the thing is, consuming too much sugar increases sugar cravings and creates this blood sugar imbalance, and it sends your body into this up and down energy roller coaster. Oh, twice. See, it sends your body twice into an energy roller coaster. It's addictive. We now know it stimulates the same brain receptors as drugs such as heroin and cocaine. And I did read this amazing research study where mice, always the poor mice, were addicted to, I think it was heroin. They had heroin and they had cocaine and they had sugar. And eventually the addiction to the sugar became so strong that the mice actually ignored the heroin purely because they could get the sugar. Now that's a little bit frightening. And another thing sugar does, it feeds your gut. But the issue is it feeds the bacteria in your gut that makes you hang on to fat, which in turn promotes more fat. So you actually may be carrying extra kilos, not because of too many calories, but because of too much sugar. And probably, as I said, sugars you're not even aware that you're eating. And the end result of all of this is that a high sugar diet makes your cells numb to insulin, and that's one of the main magnificent 7 hormones I was talking about. And that insulin controls whether a calorie makes you fat or not. In a nutshell, that's what it does. It does a lot more, but this is what's relevant to you. So when working properly and your metabolism is in sync, it burns what is required and stores your excess sugar intake as glycogen. We won't go into that, but when it's out of sync, then insulin turns from a fat burning hormone, which is when it's working properly, to a fat storage hormone. Obviously, you don't want that to happen. So I just thought I'd show you a couple of slides to just help you. Now, at last count in one of the blogs that I was doing, and talking about sugar, I think I came up with, there were 54 names of different sugars that the food manufacturers use in the food process. And really, despite the fact that there are 54 different names, they are all sugar and they all have the same effects on your body. So that is what you need to be aware of. And so where are these sugars hiding? I mean, yes, there are the obvious places, but then there are the not so obvious places. Canned vegetables. I mean, get out. Peas do not need to have sugar in the water while they're in a can, but they do. So a way you can avoid that is you can, or you can certainly help it, is when you grab your can of vegetables, let's just say peas, and they do have sugar in them, what I tend to do is drain, then rinse them, and then cook them. Soups, so processed soups, all have sugar. Fruit juices, obvious, has sugars. Tomato sauce and barbecue sauce. I think barbecue sauce is actually 1/2 sugar. Peanut butter. I mean, yes, you can get your natural, pure 100% peanut butter, but your standard Crafts and various other brands all have added sugar and salt. Breakfast cereals, flavoured oatmeals and breads all have sugar. Dry biscuits, muffins, muesli bars. Salad dressings, iced teas, pasta sauce, syrups, proteins bars, sports drinks. You get the idea, okay? It's insidious. It's everywhere. It's in 80% of products on our supermarket shelves. And what I say to my clients is, you know, when you're going to shop into the supermarket, the best thing to do is shop around the outside rim. So you walk in the door and you go into the fruit and veg section, then the deli, the meat section, the dairy section. And then if you have to go aisle 10 to get dog food or perhaps a little pasta, great. But really, you can pretty much avoid every other aisle because that's where you're going to find your sugar. Caffeine. So did you think that was going to be on the list of interrupting your metabolism? You know, some of you may have heard those weight loss pills that are full of caffeine telling you they're miracle pills to help you shed those extra pounds. Well, that ain't the case. What caffeine does is it spikes adrenaline and blood sugar. And after consuming your morning caffeine, or however many times you have caffeine throughout the day, what's going to happen is your body actually crashes and burns and tricks your body into thinking it needs more caffeine to maintain those energy levels. You know, whether we want to admit it or not, it is addictive. And more than 2 billion cups of coffee are consumed daily around the world. Here in Melbourne, which is where I am, you know, we're often referred to as the coffee capital of Australia. And it's more than socially acceptable. Oh, I got one. It's more than socially acceptable to drink and be a connoisseur of coffee. But no one wants to admit that it's a drug and can become toxic at certain levels. Things like anxiety, sleep disruption, heart palpitations are not uncommon when there's too much caffeine in your system. And yes, it stimulates cortisol, your stress hormone, one of the Magnificent Seven, which you may or may not know is a key fat storage hormone. So it's stimulating a hormone which makes you store fat. So what happens is consuming coffee is this self-defeating cycle that it's going to keep you from reaching the kind of health and energy you want in your life. Now, a question for you. Does the idea of taking coffee out of your life make you nervous? I will readily admit it does for me. I'm not a big coffee drinker. Usually one strong latte mid-morning is all I consume, and I love it, and I love the smell of it, and I don't particularly want to say goodbye to it yet. You know, it's seriously on my radar. I haven't had one as yet. I stick to one a day, and I thought I'd celebrate the end of the seminar with a coffee. There we go. That's not a good thing. But it's something to think about. Again, education empowers, and if you are having regular coffee throughout the day, you might like to look at ways that you can wean yourself off. Here's another one that does a detriment to your metabolism, and alcohol is right up there with sugar and caffeine in terms of its detrimental effects with your metabolism. Again, alcohol in our society is acceptable, and some would even say encouraged. You know, it's often seen as your go-to stress relief at the end of the day to help you wind down. It makes a business of life so much easier to handle. Well, think about this. As you're consuming it, perhaps you start with one, then another, and maybe sometimes you go to a third. But as you're consuming it, alcohol's actually slowing down your metabolism. And it's spiking your blood sugar levels. What it's also doing is raising the estrogen in your blood level to the point where you can, if your diet isn't great in other areas as well, become estrogen dominant. Okay, then what happens, it plays havoc with all those other 7 hormones that I was talking about, and you create this whole devil's playground. You know, crazy, but most of us think of estrogen as a woman's fab friend, but too much of it disrupts your ability to burn and lose fat, and that's why it's one of the key hormones when it comes to fat loss. Alcohol also impairs brain function. And as we know, and dare I say, some of us may have experienced not remembering exactly what went on at the end of your night, but that's what it does. And it's permanent brain impairing of brain function. And we know it's toxic to the liver. Alcohol is like fructose. It is metabolized in the liver. What happens is about 10% goes into your stomach and is metabolized there and then moves straight into the bloodstream, and that is that woohoo that you get from alcohol. While about 90% passes via your stomach and goes to the liver where it's metabolized. And the whole thing is, surprise, surprise, because it's a toxin and your body recognizes it as a toxin, it's not stored in any way in your body. So when drinking, when you're having a drink and perhaps you're eating, your body stops all other metabolic processes going on and pushes them to the side so it can get rid of the alcohol as soon as possible. And that's its main aim. So it moves the metabolization of your proteins, healthy fats, carbs, etc., all to the side and says, I need to get rid of this alcohol as quickly as possible. But things that might slow that down are this. If you have food in your stomach, you know, having food in your stomach will slow down the rate of alcohol absorption. But that also means that it won't enter the bloodstream as quickly, and therefore your blood alcohol content won't rise as quickly. Depending on your gender, women, again, have a lighter body weight, usually, and a slower activity level of the enzyme ADH, which is the enzyme which helps metabolize alcohol. And because of this, we actually don't break it down as quickly as men, and we end up keeping more in our blood, which plays havoc, obviously. If your liver is a state of is unhealthy in any way, it reduces your ability to break down alcohol, and therefore it will again keep blood levels higher in your blood for longer. And it doesn't have to be an alcohol as a result of, liver as a result of alcohol stress, which it can be, but it also can be a fatty liver. You know, you may not realize that you have a fatty liver, which is a result of a heavily processed and unhealthy diet. And genetics is another big player. The liver enzymes used to break down alcohol differ from person to person, depending on their genetic makeup. And these enzymes work at different rates, meaning some people will naturally process alcohol faster than others, and some will go slower. Just want you to understand a little bit more about what alcohol does in terms of disrupting the digestive tract, because that is all about, you know, that's the relationship with metabolism. It actually stops, as I said, it stops from digesting your food properly, and that's, you know, a big problem. The nasty thing about alcohol is it decreases the secretion of digestive enzymes that are coming from your pancreas, and they are the things that are breaking down your food and your nutrients, and that's what we need for the health and repair of our body and just to our overall wellness. So being able to digest your food well is obviously one of the cornerstones of your overall health and well-being, and alcohol stops that from happening. Just for example, nutrients like folate don't get absorbed. And then when that's not happening, glucose and sodium aren't going to get absorbed. And that's going to in turn lead to other nutrients not getting absorbed, which in turn leads to a bad gut. Okay, so that is where it's working against you. It's also provoking inflammation within your body. What it does, there is a little thing called prostaglandins, and they are responsible for helping moderate inflammation. They're kind of like our gut heroes. Well, guess what? alcohol kind of makes them drunk and they don't do anything. So therefore inflammation is on the rise. You know, the thing is, I'm saying you can, you know, your body can take a hit of alcohol or a moderate drinking with friends over the course of a weekend, but what it can't survive and what happens is when it does affect your metabolism in a major way is that when you're frequently binge drinking or you have this daily habitual drinking going on all the time without any disruption to it. So it's a constant thing in your life. And it also makes your gut more permeable at certain points. And what this means is that it's essentially allowing nasty toxins straight into your bloodstream, which we know leads to inflammation, which leads to weight gain and ill health. So it just is this constant merry-go-round of disasters waiting to happen. And for those that you have experienced it, we know that it interferes with your sleep. And then the whole idea of sleep affects your metabolism, which we'll be talking about later. So not much fun. Limiting your consumption of alcohol can have a huge impact on your metabolism and bring it back into balance, and also obviously your overall health. So processed foods. Eating a diet full of foods that are processed or contains toxins, sugars, caffeines, you're going to slow down your metabolism and make it more difficult for you to lose excess weight. You know, when you're eating a diet like this, and that's the diet I'm talking about from rows 2 to 10 in the supermarket, you're going to experience nutrition deficiencies due to poor nourishment from a poor diet. And this will greatly affect your metabolism and slow it down, because if the metabolism feels like that it is being undernourished, or your body feels like it's being undernourished, it's going to remain hungry. Now, you might have just eaten, say, 1,000 calories of heavily processed food. It's highly likely that you're going to be hungry very soon afterwards, because that processed food is not really nourishing your body in any way, shape or form. And your body is still hungry for those nutrients. So it's going to continue to keep you hungry until you can fulfill eating rich, dense, nutrient food, which are obviously the clean foods. So that if you are eating a diet of high processed foods, that might, you know, this little lesson might actually explain why you are constantly hungry, because you are not eating the right type of foods that are going to nourish your body and provide all the nutrients that it needs. You know, there's a common misconception in the dieting community that less is more. You know, I want to actually dispel this myth. Skipping meals or not eating enough actually causes your body to go into starvation mode. And what it does then, it conserves excess fat and fuel for later on. So this is taking your body way back to caveman days. And yes, it was a long time ago, but our bodies genetically have not changed that much. So when the caveman was faced with no food for often days on end, the body wants to protect you and it wants to do the best thing for you. So in order to protect you, it would slow down your metabolism and hold onto your fat so that the caveman could survive those days without food. Guess what? We're not having any days having to survive without food. But if we skip meals and restrict our food, then the body is going to think that there's nothing coming, and it will slow down your metabolism and it will hold onto your fat. And what that does is all builds up this toxin buildup, and so essentially when your metabolism slows down, if you're eating the wrong types of food, it can then clog up with toxins, which isn't going to help, because obviously like additives, preservatives, everything that the food manufacturers are putting in their food these days is working against you, not for you. So exercise in your metabolism. Let me start. Where do we start here? You know, a lack of movement and exercise can slow your metabolism to the point that it stops burning off excess calories. And obviously, that's definitely not good for weight loss. There's enormous debate going around about what is the right type of exercise, whether it be cardio, high intensity, strength training, the length of the exercise. What I do know is that when it comes to weight loss, It's all about 80% what you put in your mouth and 20% how you move your body. And slowly but surely, personal trainers are coming around to this and admitting that that is the case. So you can exercise all you want, but if you are not eating properly and nourishing your body in the way that I've been talking about, then you're going to have a lot of trouble losing this weight, because all that inflammation is going to remain high and all those hormones are going to remain in havoc, and you're still going to be in a state of disrepair. So what I'm about is finding your mojo. Find what works for you. You know, if you are into yoga, pole dancing, tap dancing, gym, walking the dog, gardening, whatever it might be, just find what, as long as you're moving your body, because our bodies were designed to move, and often, just get out there and do it. You know, I'm not saying you have to start training for a marathon. In fact, talking about marathon training and any high intensity extended cardio, I'm actually of the opinion that it has more adverse effects on your body than positive. Okay, some might think I'm sticking my neck out a little bit here, but long periods of cardio raise your stress hormones, and again, they wreak havoc on your body. But again, that's a discussion for another day. But we are designed to move. So if you're in a sedentary job and you're sitting at your desk for 6-8 hours a day, then you need to move and move often. So whether you set a timer up on your phone, or just every 69 minutes, you get up, you walk around the office, you take the stairs, you do some lunges, whatever it takes your fancy, just move your body as much as you can. And obviously there's also that incidental exercise where, you know, you park your car further away in the car park so that you're walking further. You know, see these people driving around and around the block so that they can get a park outside a restaurant. Why can't they walk? Okay. I saw something ridiculous on a Facebook video the other day where those little carry-on luggage trolleys, they've converted into wheels and steering wheels, and you can now sit on them and fly around the airport. Just another way that we're stopping our bodies from moving, which is a little bit frightening, but that's what you need to do. Just move your body as often as you can. Sleep and your metabolism. So very important. I can't emphasize how much important sleep is, and that is one of the things in this fast, convenient society that we live in that tends to be being left on the back burner and suffering. So what are the benefits of a good night's sleep? Well, obviously, you know, sleep is the time when your digestive tract actually slows down and it allows your body to repair and do what it needs to do. So as a result of that, you'll have improved memory. We now know that you will live longer. It curbs inflammation that's going on in your body, which obviously is going to be affecting your metabolism. It does things like inspire creativity and academics. It sharpens our attention. It maintains a healthy weight. Okay, that is what is important. If you're not getting enough sleep, we know that you will eat more the next day. And it also lowers our stress levels. So what's happening with lack of sleep? Well, it dulls the activity in the frontal lobe of your brain. And what it actually does, it then spikes your reward center. And then it becomes this sort of gate crash. What happens is your hunger hormones start playing havoc. And as I said just earlier, you want to eat more as much as you can. And then what happens is if you have a day with a night with little sleep, I bet you if you measure the following day, you'll be eating more throughout that day to constantly fulfill those hunger hormones and also those stress hormones that are going on, because your body's wanting to be rewarded all the time. And also not having enough sleep is obvious risks of type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and obesity. So again, sleep is an absolute thing that you can easily change and make some good habits. So good habits are things like sleep experts say trying to go to bed around the same time every night, also getting up at the same time every morning, even on weekends. Things like turning your screens off an hour before. Screens are so much part of our lives and people are often on their phones, etc., right up until the very end. Get off them an hour before. That blue light helps stimulate the brain centers, so get off them. And just keep the television and things out of the bedroom. and just keep them for sleeping and sex is the way to go. But just, it's something you can easily make good habits, and that will have a big effect on your overall health and metabolism. So stress is one of those other things. You know, the thing is that stress is now a way of life. Most of us are walking around with low levels of stress in our body at all time. And again, if I can just go back to my caveman friend, he didn't have a very stressful life. The only time he had major stresses was obviously when he was facing starvation, but it was also more of a norm for him, so they knew how to cope with it. But their stresses came usually in the form of physical stresses. So it was when they came around a corner and saw a very large bear or a saber-toothed tiger. And what happened is they would go into a state of stress, which is the fight or flight response. And when that happens in your body, your stress hormones are released, which is what should happen, which decreases your appetite and allows your body to have it rushes sugar to your muscles and allows your body to take off so you can go and hide from the bear and the tiger. That's fine. We don't come across many bears and tigers anymore, but we are living in this low-level stress all the time because everything is in our face. We are constantly available to our phones, to our computers, to our emails. It's a very fast-moving world. And so as a result, there is always some adrenaline, cortisol and things in our blood levels at all time, which is working against us. Okay, so just be aware that you need to learn how to de-stress. You need to find ways that are going to work for de-stressing for you. So for me, that's things like, the first thing I tell my clients is to breathe. Deep, deep belly breaths automatically takes you from the sympathetic nervous system, which is your stress nervous system, across to your parasympathetic nervous system and calms you down a little bit. Another trick is, try this while you're listening to me, is rest your tongue on the bottom of your mouth. That action actually will de-stress your body. And then you can go steps further, and that's where things like yoga, meditation, walking, exercise are all great ways to de-stress. The thing about stress is that eating will become your main activity, and what this stress does, and the stress hormones do, unlike some of the other hormones, is they promote visceral fat. So that's fat around your belly, which is not a good fat to have. Okay, so that is the fat that sort of gets caught up in your organs, and it's a very unhealthy fat, and much more unhealthy than fat on your hips, thighs or buttocks. And starchy carbs are craved while you're in this stress state, and again it then triggers the insulin response, which, as you know, is the response which ends up being your fat storage hormone, so it's not working for you. So as I said, try those de-stress activities that I've just told you, jot them down. So that's deep breathing, resting your tongue on the bottom of the mouth. What else did I say? Exercise, yoga, meditation, going for a walk, whatever it can, just remove yourself, meditation, remove yourself from that stressful part of your life and find a way to de-stress. So what to do? I have bombarded you with all things that disrupt your metabolism. And, you know, there's a lot there, and there's still a lot more to talk about, as I've said, but it can become a little bit overwhelming. I appreciate that. But it doesn't have to be. We can improve it, and you can just take it one step at a time. And even though there are so many things that disrupt your metabolism, so many factors that I've talked about, in terms of repairing it, it's fairly simple. The number one way to improve your metabolism is to eat clean. Now, what do I mean by eating clean? I often talk about real food or one ingredient food. So that is food that you are not going to get a food label on. You know, there aren't going to be 5 ingredients in it. It's going to be a pure food. It's going to be foods like this. It's going to be your nuts, your seeds, your healthy oils. I haven't put healthy oils up there, but they would be your olive oils and your coconut oils. Stay away from the vegetable oils. They are high in omega-6s, which are so inflammatory for your body. So please stay away from those. Vegetables and leafy greens. Oh my God, the best thing that God put on this earth is all the fabulous vegetables and leafy greens. Go for as many of them as you can possible. Lean and clean proteins, okay? What do I talk about lean and clean? Clean being those, ideally, if you can buy organic. If you can't buy organic, always look for grass-fed, okay? They are going to be proteins that are a result of not mass farming procedures and not full of hormones and all sorts of additives to which they do these days. So eat as cleanly as possible and as leanly as possible. So that's your meat, your fish, your chicken, your game, lamb, all that sort of stuff. Pork. So go for lean and clean. If weight loss is your thing, then I do recommend low glycemic fruits because, yes, they are natural. They are one ingredient real foods. But some fruits obviously have a lot more sugar content than others. And if weight loss is your thing, then you want to go for the low glycemic fruits. Interestingly, warming spices, and it's great for being here in Melbourne, but things like cayenne and turmeric and curries are all warming spices, which are all very nurturing to your metabolism. So think about adding those to your food. They are far better things to add into your foods than any other additives that you're going to find in processed foods. Legumes, obviously, are another great clean, natural food that you can eat. And I can't emphasize enough how much water that you should be drinking. So if you're thinking you're drinking enough water, I want you to drink more. A quick way to work it out, you can jot this down, is 30 mils of water per kilo of body weight. So if you're, for example, 70 kilos, that's about 2.1 litres of water. The thing is, when you are trying to get rid of toxins and repairing your body and your metabolism, what water does is allow and help you to flush that all out. So ensure that you're drinking water constantly throughout the day. So that is, to me, as I talked about earlier, that's shopping around the supermarket and going around the room of the supermarket. That's where you are going to find those foods, except for legumes, which you will find in one of the aisles. But they're the sort of stuff that you should be having every day at every meal. The other ways to improve your metabolism: exercise daily. Well, I've talked about that. You need to exercise daily because you need to move your body. Now, I'm not saying, ideally 30 minutes a day. If you are a very active person, that's great. But if you're not particularly active, if you can just find ways of increasing movement throughout your day, start with a 10-minute walk and maybe do it 3 times a day. Just slowly build up so you're moving your body at every opportunity that you can. De-stress, well, we talked about that. Obviously, you need to find those ways to de-stress. Sound sleep is going to bring your metabolism back into balance. And interestingly, simple daily detox tools. Now, they might sound a little bit weird or a bit woo-woo, but dry skin brushing. Skin is, one of the largest organs on our body, and it's often referred to as the third kidney. So it is your kidneys detoxify, and as does your skin, because toxins are released through your skin. Alcohol is released through your skin and your breath. So dry brushing is a really great way to help shift the toxins out of your skin. Oil pulling is another thing which you may not have heard before. It's an ancient Ayurvedic treatment, and it's the process of putting oil, either extra virgin oil or coconut oil, in your mouth, and you swish it around. And again, that draws toxins out of your gums, etc. And you do it for about 10 to 15 minutes. It's interesting, but it works. And tongue scraping, believe it or not, it might sound again a bit woo-woo, but mucus on top of your tongue is actually quite toxic. So if you can use your toothbrush, or you can actually buy tongue scrapers, although I never have, you can scrape your tongue and remove those toxins from your body. So why do we want to remove toxins? Well, that's going to increase circulation. It's going to decrease cravings. It's going to help balance your blood sugar levels, and it's going to boost your energy naturally, which all in turn are promoters of a healthy metabolism. The thing is, our body can eliminate some toxins, but often it does. There are toxins in some of our foods which it doesn't know what to do with, particularly things like trans fats, which are oxygenated fats. And so our body actually shoves out toxins that it doesn't know what to do with in our fat stores and just hides them in amongst all your fat. So again, that can create its own problem and inflammation going on within your fat stores, which unfortunately then promotes more fat. So I believe the safest way to remove toxins from the body is doing a real food reset. So that is where you aren't going to get involved in shakes or pills or processed foods, and you're going to cleanse the body and remove toxins naturally so that you're not going to be, you know, starving or deprived, and you're not going to put your body into restriction. You're just going to eat clean for a period of time. The thing you need to understand is that your body has two blueprints of health. It's got you as you are right now and you in perfectly aligned health. And there's no reason why you can't take your body there, because it already has that blueprint of you in your subconscious. And the thing I love so much about our bodies is that we can rebalance our metabolism, and you can restore your overstressed body to be healthy, happy, and amazing by the actual wonders of your own unique biology. So if you want to boost your energy naturally, obviously the secret to success is stop wishing and start doing. I just want to share with you something that I've got coming up in the next few weeks, and it is the Eat Clean Reset Your Body 14-day program. And what's this all about? Well, it's self-explanatory, really. It's eating clean for 14 days, which is going to, one, reboot your metabolism. Because if we take everything out that I've been talking about and put in eat clean, real foods, one ingredient foods constantly, then your body and your metabolism is going to be able to reboot itself. And during the course of this 14-day program, what you're going to be able to do is discover the foods that are depleting you and those that are nourishing you. Because we're taking foods in and out at different times, you're going to be able to see the effects it have on your body. Remember I talked about you have to listen to your body. Well, this is a perfect opportunity to do that. And guess what? You are going to drop weight naturally because you're doing it without restriction and deprivation, and you're going to be able to get rid of those toxins out of your system. And I also, because I'm a mindset nutritionist, I also include in this program the need to have your head in the right place. And the end result is you actually feel healthier, happier and amazing. You do drop weight if you follow it properly. You will have great skin and you will have endless energy. So when's it happening? It is happening on Monday, the 8th of August. We go into transition period. And that is a week. Originally, it was 4 days. I'm running this now for the third time. Originally, it was 4 days, but I feel a week is more of a time for you just to slowly transition off some of the products, i.e. caffeine, that you might be having on a regular basis, because your body can react when it starts if you go cold turkey. And then on Monday, the 15th of August, we will go into the 2-week reset, and we will finish at the end of August in time, Australia time, for the first day of spring. And you will have more spring in your step. So what do you get when you join up for this program? Well, you get a recipe guide. There is over 50 recipes there for you to follow. I will be in your inbox every day with daily support, and you can contact me at any time, obviously, Monday to Friday, with emails and to answer your questions. And I also will set up a private Facebook group where we can get in there and support each other, because community always helps. I give you suggested meal plans. So that's, again, for the 14 days. So to make it easy for you, if you don't want to do it yourself, you can literally just follow these meal plans and it's all set out there for you. There's also a day-to-day at a glance guide, which is just, oh, that's my dog. There's a day-to-day at a glance guide, which gives you the overview. There's a shopping list. This isn't hard. You don't have to go anywhere quirky. It's all at your local supermarket or your health food store. I also include a food diary and a transition guide. As I said, you need to listen to your body because it has a lot to tell you. So when you're moving in and out of these foods, your body will react. So you need to write down these reactions. For example, one of the girls that did it in earlier this year, she was always bloated and always carried around a very bloated stomach. And as a result of her cutting grains out during the reset, her bloat just went away. And she was able to note all that down and how she felt and whatever. And to this day, she hasn't put grains back into her diet and the bloat has gone. So this is when your body talks to you, and this is when you need to listen. And some bonuses I'm going to include are a toxin guide sheet for how to remove other toxins that are going on in your life, not necessarily in your food, but in your home, in your house products, cosmetics, etc., etc. And also, if you sign up for the early bird, I want to give you a post-reset next session with me. So that's either meeting me in person or on Skype, and we will just go over the whole reset, and then we'll work out how you can go forward to become even healthier. So what do you do? This is a little testimonial of someone that did it recently, and Lulu had great results. If you would like to join me, you go to www.refocusrenewyou, which is my little website hub where I have my programs, and .com, and it's /14-day Eat Clean Reset. And I'll put that in the chat box, and I'll put that in an email for you. So I'd love you to join. It's not compulsory, but it's certainly a way that it can help you make over your metabolism, bring back some energy, feel good about yourself, and drop some unwanted kilos if that is your want. So as I said, we do start on the 8th of August, but the official start date is Monday the 15th. And the early bird investment is $197. So that will be open till next Monday. So for the next 5 days, because then the program is opening to the public. So I would love you to join me. But let's go back to the dashboard now and see if there are any questions. Let's hope this happens. I'm going to stop screen share. I'm going to put me back on. And here I am. So hi, I hope I haven't, what have I gone? I've gone 59 minutes. Sorry, I've gone a little bit over, so I hope I haven't gone too long. Sometimes I just can't help myself when I'm talking about these things and I go off on tangents, which can become a little bit overwhelming for you. Let me see if there are any questions in the chat box. Okay, so Dorothy, what should one not eat while going through menopause that makes you gain weight? Well, Dorothy, I think if you just took all that information in, then really they are the obvious things that you should be cutting back on. So processed foods, foods high in sugar, caffeine, alcohol, they are foods that are just not working for you, and something like eating clean, real, one ingredient foods, good levels of protein. Always start your day with a great protein breakfast, because that's going to keep your blood sugar levels even throughout the day. If you have a high carb breakfast, it's likely that you're going to come crashing down sooner rather than later. So you need to ensure that you're having protein with every meal and snack. And you move to the right foods and remove the foods that we've been talking about, then, and you're doing the exercise and you're doing the de-stress and you're sleeping properly. So obviously there are all these things that need to come into balance. It's not just one on its own. It's a combination of factors that make you healthy and prevent the weight gain. So many women say, oh my God, you know, I'm perimenopausal or I'm menopausal, and, you know, I've just got this new waist and I can't get rid of it. I'm actually of the opinion that you can. You know, there's no reason why you need to carry that excess weight around your stomach if you make the necessary changes. You can't continue what you're doing and expect change. It's like, what's the definition of insanity, you know, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So you need to make changes to make it happen. And Dorothy also asked, can meat make you fat? Dorothy, I touched on lean, clean proteins. If you are eating heavily processed meat or meat that has been manufactured in farm lots, then it's highly likely that that meat is grain-fed rather than grass-fed. And those grains can cause havoc and toxins, etc., in your body. And so that is going to work against you when it comes to weight management. So as I recommended, please go for clean, lean proteins. Please go for grass-fed whenever you possibly can. Stay away from the processed meats. If you can go organic, great. But if not, just go for lean, clean, and grass-fed. And there's no reason why meat should be making you fat. I'm not saying eat meat every day of the week. Personally, I think 2 to 3 times a week of red meat is sufficient. Lots of white meat and lots of fish are going to be extra bonuses for you. So any other questions? I don't think so. Anyone else got a question? If not, please don't hesitate to email me if you'd like. And I hope you've enjoyed the webinar. And there will be a replay available, so you can go back over it. I know I gave you lots of information, and often I can become a little bit overwhelming, but you can go back over it in your own time. And I look forward to seeing you next time. So thank you for sharing this time with me, and we'll see you very soon.